Hi, welcome back to the Weekly Why. This week we have Parsha Tetzaveh. So this week we have the description of the Kohen Gadol's, or the high priest's vestments, his clothing. So there are really 8 major categories that the high priest would wear, and so there's a lot of discussion about the significance of the turban, of the different the belt and the robe and the different parts. But I don't want to focus on that just briefly. I mean, there's a lot of significance to each part, representing a different character trait, a different part of the Jewish people. But I'd like to focus just on how God describes the people who even would be making the high priest's clothing. In Shemot, or Exodus, chapter 28, verse 3, right at the beginning of the chapter, God's talking to Moses and Aaron. He's telling them to find the people who would be making the clothing. And he refers to them as the wise-hearted people whom I have invested with wisdom. And we can, just as very easily read past that without thinking much. But I want to just stop and look at that for a moment. It's interesting the way God says that He's invested them with wisdom. Now, again, think about the investment for a moment. When we invest in something, either we invest money, or we invest time, or we invest attention, we're hoping to get at least as much back out of it. If we invest $100 into something, unless we're investing in the U.S. banking system, we hope to get at least as much back, right? If we invest time into, a friendship, or into a project, or into anything, we hope to get, the more we invest, the more we hope to get into it. So presumably, if God is investing a trait, or in this case, wisdom into somebody, He's hoping to get, presumably, or logically, something out of it. He's not just hoping for somebody to pat themselves on the back and say, well, God gave me wisdom. He's hoping, again, logically speaking, that we would give God His return on investment, right? So what does that mean? That means that it's our really, not just opportunity, but really it's our obligation. And again, we shouldn't see this as a burden, but an amazing opportunity. That we have been given, blessed with every one of us, certain different abilities that each of us were invested with, and we can make the most of that investment, right? Not investing in it, for example, not making the most of that would just be to simply ignore it and turn away from it. But making the most of it would really be to stop and think and say, well, what can I really do with this? Stop and sit down, necessary, with a pad of paper and just think, like, what am I good at, right? What can I really do? And more importantly, what needs to be done? And we discussed this before. We discussed this before. We know this is something important, but I just want to hit it home again that it is important to recognize, what certain traits and abilities we've been blessed with, and to take a look at that. And I think this ties in very well to the holiday of Purim, which is this coming Sunday. The Queen Esther, she didn't at first recognize, but she was really told by Mordechai. He really helped to put this into her mind that it wasn't so much a character trait that she had, but she was really put in a position. She was put in an incredible opportunity, and really Mordechai said to her, listen, the Jewish people are going to survive with or without you, but the question is, do you want to be a part of it, right? The bus is leaving. The question is, do you want to be on the bus when it goes? And so she had the clarity to recognize that, God has invested in me this specific ability to be in this time, in this place, the ability to impact the king Ahasuerus, and she was very successful in doing so. So again, I would hope my blessing is that for all of us to take a look at Queen Esther and hopefully use that as an inspiration to stop and think about what skills, what abilities, what capabilities we've been given, and how we can best use those for the benefit of those around us and for the entire Jewish people. Okay? So best wishes, Chag Sameach, and Shabbat Shalom.